Title: The Missing Journalist Who Found Her Own Voice on Tape. The Discovery. On October 12, 2018, the Ashcroft Police Department received a call from a property owner reporting a strange sound coming from an abandoned farmhouse on County Road 9. When officers arrived just before dawn, fog rolled low across the fields, and the air felt unnaturally heavy, quiet in that way that makes your own breathing sound intrusive. The house was small, its paint peeled to bare wood, roof sagging inward. The porch steps bowed under the weight of years. Inside, everything was still, until they reached the living room. In the center of the floor sat an old reel-to-reel tape recorder, its wheels turning, its tape running endlessly in a loop. No lights, no electricity, yet somehow, it was moving. One officer later described the moment in his report. It sounded like a voice trying to surface through water, faint but urgent. The machine's label had just one word written on masking tape: listen. They did. If you're hearing this, I think I've already disappeared. The voice belonged to Emily Voss, a 29-year-old investigative journalist missing for 6 months. Emily had vanished while researching a story on quiet zones, isolated communities that claim to ban all radio frequencies and wireless signals due to electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Her editor had filed a missing person report after she missed 3 consecutive deadlines and never returned her rental car. Until now, all they'd recovered was that car, abandoned on a dirt road just outside Ashcroft. The doors were unlocked. The keys still in the ignition. No footprints. No cell signal. No trace. Detectives boxed up the recorder and brought it to the evidence room. The first full playback of the tape was documented and time-stamped at 10:17 a.m. What they heard would later be sealed under the classification of unexplained audio phenomena. Transcript excerpt: Listen tape, midnight to 2:36. Emily's voice, calm, professional. Testing, 1-2. Day 4 in Ashcroft. No radio towers. Locals' refuse interviews. One man said I shouldn't stay past dark, says there, listens here. I thought he meant the silence. Maybe he didn't. Pause. A faint tapping sound, rhythmic. 3 knocks, then to Emily sighs. It's been happening at night. I keep thinking it's in the walls, but when I move the mic, it follows. Like it's choosing where to be. End of excerpt. The first playback session lasted nearly an hour. Emily's tone changes halfway through. You can hear her becoming aware of something. Her breathing shortens, she stumbles over words, as if she's not alone. Audio reenactment, her voice trembling. Someone's playing this back to me. I haven't stopped recording yet. Brief silence, then a faint echo, her own voice, repeating the same line, milliseconds early. Investigators initially suspected tampering, a local prank, an old signal loop. But the farmhouse had no electricity, no Wi-Fi router, and no radio equipment of any kind. The recorder itself was vintage, a 1970s Nagra 4, the kind used for field journalism, and its batteries were corroded to dust. Yet it played perfectly, as though it had never stopped recording. By noon, the farmhouse was sealed as a crime scene. Technicians collected samples, photographed everything, and noted something strange. Despite the thick layer of dust across every surface, there were fresh fingerprints only on the play and rewind buttons of the tape deck. And those fingerprints matched Emily Voss. The question was, when had she been there? News anchor. Authorities continue searching for journalist Emily Voss, last seen in April 2018 while investigating alleged electromagnetic interference in the northern Maine region. Emily's sister, Claire, was the one who identified the voice. In her interview with detectives, she said she recognized not only Emily's tone, but her breathing pattern. You know how family just knows? It's her. But it's like she's speaking through an old phone line. There's a distance, like she's halfway somewhere else. Police didn't release the tape publicly, but leaked excerpts began circulating online within weeks. Forums called it the Ashcroft tape. Reddit threads dissected every sound, claiming you could hear another voice, whispering under Emily's. In the official report, detectives listed possible causes. Audio interference from old broadcast towers. overlapping environmental sounds, psychological distress on the part of the subject. But off-record, several officers admitted something else. They heard their own names faintly echoed in the playback. When we slowed it down, I swear I heard it say Mark. My name's Mark. None of us told each other at first, but we all heard it. Different names, same voice. As the day ended, investigators boxed the tape, labeled it Evidence 5A, and logged it into storage. But at 2:43 a.m., the evidence clerk on duty called dispatch to report movement in the sealed room. When backup arrived, the security footage showed something impossible. No one entered. No doors opened. The tape had rewound itself. When officers checked the machine, the reel was stopped exactly at the moment Emily first said, "If you're hearing this, I think I've already disappeared." That single line would become the backbone of the entire investigation. Because in the months that followed, more tapes would surface, each one older than the last, each one containing the same voice. Emily's voice. The investigation. For the first week, detectives treated Emily Voss's tape as a missing person lead, nothing more. But when the State Audio Lab analyzed the recording, what they discovered changed the case from a disappearance to something no one could explain. We isolated Emily's voice pattern. Then we found another one, overlapping, almost identical, but not quite. Same tone, same cadence, just slightly ahead of her. About 700 milliseconds. The duplicate voice didn't echo Emily, it anticipated her. Every word she said, the second voice whispered first. Like something was reading her lines before she spoke them. It wasn't feedback, it wasn't radio bleed, and it wasn't editing. We ran the tape through 6 separate spectrographs. That second voice shouldn't exist. The Ashcroft PD reopened the entire case. They searched Emily's last known residence, a rental cabin off Route 11, 5 miles from the farmhouse. The cabin looked untouched, dishes still drying in the rack, notebooks stacked neatly on a desk. But on her laptop, investigators found a folder titled simply, "Listen." Inside were dozens of short recordings, each labeled with dates from March to April 2018, the weeks before she vanished. Most sounded ordinary. Birds outside. Distant thunder. Emily narrating her findings. Until the final file, dated April 8th, the night before she disappeared. "There's something wrong with my recorder. It's playing things I didn't say. I hear myself at night, talking back." Then, faintly, another voice, whispering over hers. "You shouldn't have come here, Emily." At this point, police suspected harassment. Someone might have been stalking Emily, recording her, manipulating her audio, pushing her into paranoia. But the digital forensics team found no evidence of hacking, no sign of interference. Then they found something else. Hidden inside her laptop's SD slot was a microcassette wrapped in a note that read, "Interview 4B, don't play alone." The tape starts with Emily interviewing an unidentified local, a man with a gravelly voice, possibly in his 60s. "Emily, you said you moved here because of the silence?" "Man, it's not silence. It's the absence of them." "Emily, them." "Man, the echoes. The ones that remember what you say." "Hello? Are you still?" Her words cut off. Then the other voice, the one from before, continues speaking calmly. She's almost learned it. Just one more time. Detectives ruled the microcassette unusable due to degradation. But a state contractor hired to digitize the tape, Dr. Alan Pierce, made his own copy. He later told reporters he began hearing whispers in his own recordings, even after the project ended. Within weeks, he resigned from the lab and refused further interviews. Dr. Pierce. "It's not just her. The frequency's recursive. Once you listen, it remembers you too." Ashcroft's population had dropped from 312 to just 47 over the previous decade. Residents described strange radio interference, television switching on at night, voices faintly audible in the static between channels. One local, Tom Riley, told investigators he'd seen Emily days before she vanished. She'd come to his store to buy blank cassettes, said she was testing a theory about echo retention. When asked to elaborate, Riley hesitated. She said the recordings here don't just play sound. They play memory. During a second sweep of the farmhouse, police discovered these tapes hidden behind drywall panels. Most were blank, but one, labeled 1993, contained the exact same phrase from Emily's Listen tape. If you're hearing this, I think I've already disappeared. The voice wasn't Emily's, but it was indistinguishable. Forensic comparison confirmed a 99.8% match in vocal frequency. But the older tape was dated 25 years before Emily Voss was even born. That was when the case file was moved to the state's Unexplained Incidents Archive, a seldom-used branch of the Maine Bureau of Investigation dedicated to phenomena of unclear origin. The official statement read, "Evidence suggests the subject may have encountered legacy acoustic phenomena connected to prior residents of the Ashcroft area." Unofficially, everyone involved admitted the same thing. They had no idea what they were dealing with. 2 weeks later, the tape recorder in police storage activated itself again, despite being unplugged and locked inside an evidence locker. When they reviewed the security feed, the timestamp froze for exactly 52 minutes and 3 seconds, the precise runtime of the original Listen recording. When the footage resumed, the room was empty, except for a new cassette sitting beside the machine. Label, "Play Me Next." Inside that cassette was only one sound, a single word, repeated softly for 6 minutes straight. "Remember." And in the final 10 seconds, the whisper shifted. "We already do." Every tape led them deeper into a pattern. Voices repeating, years apart, belonging to people who never met. Whatever Emily found in Ashcroft, it wasn't new. It had been listening for a long time. The revelation. By the spring of 2019, the Ashcroft case had gone silent. The police stopped releasing updates. The recordings were sealed in evidence vaults. And yet, someone kept sending emails to Emily's former editor, signed only with her initials, Evie. The subject lines were empty. The attachments, static audio files, all 47 minutes long. Every file ended with the same whisper. "You found me." Cut to interview. The editor, sitting in a dim newsroom late at night. "Editor, I thought it was a cruel hoax." But the timestamps were all current, and the sender's IP traced to the coordinates of the farmhouse, which, by that point, didn't even have power. Narrator. When investigators returned to the property, they discovered that someone, or something, had broken the seal on the evidence room window. Inside, dust covered everything except one thing: the tape recorder. It was sitting in the middle of the floor again, reels freshly loaded with a new spool of tape. The label read, "Last recording. Day 6. I think I understand now. The quiet zone isn't about avoiding frequencies. It's about protecting them. The air here keeps what you say. Like dust." Pause. She exhales. Robert Keller was right. The name appeared for the first time in the investigation. Robert Keller, an audio engineer who had lived in the same farmhouse in the early 1990s. Public records showed he'd worked for a defense contractor experimenting with acoustic retention fields, technology designed to record residual sound trapped in magnetic materials. In theory, Keller believed that every sound ever made left a microscopic vibration on the surfaces around it, in paint, in dust, in the iron oxide of tape reels. He thought it might be possible to listen to the past itself. He disappeared in 1994. The same year the earliest Listen tape was made. One note, dated March 3, 1993, read, "Every voice leaves a print. But when the print overlaps its origin, the boundary blurs." Another page simply said, "Once the tape remembers you, it doesn't forget." When they analyzed Emily's final recording, they found something hidden deep in the spectrogram. A faint background pattern repeating every 6 seconds, the same rhythm as the tapping heard throughout the earlier tapes. But when reversed and slowed down, the tapping wasn't random. It was Morse code. The data suggested the signal wasn't coming from the tape. It was being recorded back into it in real time. An acoustic loop, like an echo folding onto itself. One of the analysts described it as a mirror that listens. After the analysis, the project was shut down. The farmhouse was condemned and scheduled for demolition. But on the day the crew arrived, they noticed something strange. Every wall in the living room, the same room where the recorder had first been found, had faint circular burn marks, exactly the size of tape reels. 32 of them. Each mark had a single fingerprint pressed into its center, and every fingerprint belonged to Emily Voss. It was like she'd been touching the walls from the inside. Demolition went ahead anyway. The debris was cleared, the soil leveled, the address removed from town records. For a while, it seemed the story would end there. Until 2023. So I bought this old reel-to-reel from an estate sale. Weird thing is, the seller said it came from a police auction in Maine. When I powered it on, there was already a tape inside. He plays it. Static fills the room, then a woman's voice, unmistakably Emily's, calm, almost peaceful. They finally stopped looking. But that's okay, because now I can listen to them. The things, before that line, I swear I heard my name. The video was uploaded, then deleted less than 24 hours later. But thousands had already watched it. Several viewers claimed they heard their own names whispered faintly during playback. Experts still debate whether the Ashcroft recordings were a hoax, a shared psychological phenomenon, or proof of something science hasn't named yet. The official case file remains unsolved. All that's certain is this. Every person who's listened to the tapes for longer than 47 minutes has reported hearing one final phrase, whispered just before the static cuts out. You're next to record. If you thought this story was terrifying, wait until you hear what happened in the next one. Subscribe before it drops.